Hello, my darlings. Welcome to the video. I want to talk about something very useful and actually quite essential for all of us. I would have said for all of us today, but it's not just all of us today, it's all of us at all times incarnate as humans. I'm talking about medicine. And I think most of all this video is a reminder to everyone of the importance of real medicine and what it brings to us. And as you can see, I have some right here. Plants. Just like with food, natural medicine, plant medicine, traditional medicine. And basically, there are three main approaches in terms of practice, in terms of using natural medicine. You can call it natural medicine, traditional medicine, ancient medicine, but it's basically plants. It's not just plants, it's obviously energy work as well. Crystals as well are amazing, and sound are also very, very healing. And so is human interaction, like literally human interaction. When you have a nice, like a solid, genuine human connection, it's not just a human connection, it's a soul connection that also is healing, But right now I'm talking about this particular way of healing, and it's not just healing, because healing kind of implies, well, not kind of, healing basically means that you've been wounded one way or another, physically or not, and that area of your physical body or spiritual body has to be healed, has to be restored to wholeness, to integrity, and a state of health, which basically is a state of wholeness. Now, I would prefer to talk about not about healing, but about maintaining health, maintaining a state of wholeness within ourselves, within our different types of bodies, whether we're talking about the emotional body, the physical body, spiritual body. And that's why, medicine is not just supplements or teas, it's also like literally food. If you do some research, you will find that literally every type of vegetable or fruit or spice has a lot of benefits for the body. Each one their own benefits. And that's actually medicine. That's the real medicine. Health is not something that we restore to the body. This is the nowadays approach, and it's backwards. Because it, like I said, it literally implies that something has already been damaged. Whereas real health, real wholeness, literally means maintaining the state of wholeness, the state of health, the state of power and strength within yourself, both physical and non-physical strength. So that's why being aware of the power of plants is so important. And it's not just, eating them and drinking teas made of different plants. It's also, you can also do energy work with plants. Basically, that's traditional forms of shamanism and witchcraft. And I'm gonna talk about those. But I want to start with something a little bit more modern, to say so, a little bit more scientifical. It's herbalism. Now, herbalism is built on ancient knowledge. It's built on traditional knowledge. But the form of herbalism that we have nowadays, it's a little bit different. It has a lot more of a scientific approach and a lot more of a scientific explanation of things. Whereas if we were living in the times of Ayurveda, we wouldn't have had the same explanations for the benefits of the different plants and foods. Like in ancient times, the way of understanding these things was a lot more spiritual, a lot more, you could say, metaphysical. And if you look at Ayurveda and just Indian knowledge on a general level, you'll see that everything is connected with everything. And plants and foods have astrological connections as well. There's a lot, like everything is seen through the spiritual lenses. Whereas nowadays, the primary way of looking at things is a lot more physical. It's a lot more scientifical, but that kind of scientifical that's not spiritual. You know, it's what we understand nowadays as scientifical. You know, that doesn't have to be the scientifical, because science should serve spirit. That's a big one, but well, what can you do? So herbalism, even though there are a lot of people out there, I know there are a lot of people out there who have studied herbalism and incorporate herbalism knowledge into their spiritual practices, and therefore further teach other people to do the same. It's more like that. It's more rather that they incorporate herbalism into their spiritual practices. Whereas herbalism on a general level today is not a spiritual practice in itself. And that's what I wanted to clarify. It's a lot more methodical, to say so. Before that, the ways of understanding these things were, like I said, a lot more spiritual, a lot more intimate. And here is where shamanism and witchcraft come into play. Basically, in shamanism, the shaman has an intimate relationship with the plant and the spirit of the plant. That's amazing. And I'll give you an example of something. It's for some people it can be very basic, but it says a lot. There's a person, he smokes, and he told me that at one point he smoked tobacco that was coming from a shaman, and the shaman basically took that tobacco through a ritual, and he confirmed that smoking that tobacco was entirely different. It was very different compared to any other kind of tobacco he had ever smoked. This is just one example. So, just like with anything, once you put intention into something, whether it be a physical thing or a process or both, that changes the experience almost entirely. Because, you know, it's one thing to go through life by default, unaware, and just, yeah, you know, And it's a whole other thing to go through life being aware and really putting intention into your work, into your practice, into what you do and what you think. And by extension, putting intention into what you put into yourself, into your own body, and not just your physical body. So shamanism is a lot more spiritual and also very, very intimate. Exactly because the shaman has literally a relationship with the spirit of the plant or the plants. Because sometimes, there are like mixtures of plants that the shamans work with. I think you know what I'm talking about. But this is a lot more traditional. And then there's witchcraft. Now, witchcraft is very similar to shamanism. Arguably, they're kind of the same thing. But it's just the fact that they come from different cultural traditions. So, witchcraft, even though today we think of witchcraft as something, primarily associated with females, it shouldn't be. That's not how witchcraft started. Actually, witchcraft is basically spiritual work. And unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid of witchcraft because they don't understand it properly. Because, a lot of brainwashing, because of the whole Middle East, when the witches were hunted. And it wasn't just in the Middle East, like a hunt of witches unfortunately kept happening even after the Middle East. For people who don't know, the Middle East ended in the 15th century. A lot of people are confused about this, and sometimes they talk about the modern era, and they think that the modern era is the nowadays. No, the modern era is not the nowadays. The modern era started in the 15th century. That's the modern era. Prior to that was the Middle East. And in the Middle East, in Europe, there was a large psychosis of hunting witches. Most of the times it wasn't even witches. Like, women were falsely accused of witchcraft a lot of the times. But that's another story. And this is the main reason we associate witchcraft with females collectively today. Because, because of the degraded form of Christianity, the official Christianity that literally had an agenda against women, they used witchcraft as a pretext of oppressing women. And it wasn't just oppressing women, they literally wanted witchcraft to kind of die out because they didn't want people to stand in their power. And this is what witchcraft gives you. It gives you the ability to be aware of yourself, to work with your own energy, your own space, your own field, and your intentions, and to stand in your power. Now, obviously, there are people who use witchcraft for evil, but that's not... They're gonna get their karma. The ones who do that, they're definitely getting their karma. In this life and through hell, and then the other lifetimes, they're getting it. Now, and this is the point. Unfortunately, witchcraft is associated with evil. So it's associated with women and evil women. But it's not just women who practice witchcraft, and you know, there's good magic and there's bad magic. We shouldn't be afraid of witchcraft. Because like I said, witchcraft is literally energy work. Just that it's a bit more traditional. It's not so new age. Because, you know, in the new age community, there is energy work. There is a lot of talk about energy work. But again, it's a bit different. It's in a different way compared to what we would think of as traditional witchcraft, especially traditional European witchcraft. There are other types of witchcraft, like voodoo. That's a bit edgy. Now, I'm on European. I'm gonna talk primarily about European tradition. Obviously, there are more traditions, but you know, each one is accustomed to their own culture. So, European witchcraft, basically known as paganism, exactly because of Christianity, you know, because in the Middle East there were two worlds, the worlds of Christians and the worlds of pagans. And with time, the more Christianity got corrupted and the more it got institutionalized, you know, when I say that, I mean the church. The more paganism was hunted down, and there was a whole agenda against paganism. And, well, yeah, an agenda for brainwashing humans, for bringing them down. In paganism, there's no such thing as sin, and there's no such thing as guilt for practicing your own method, for having your own method of spiritual practice. Actually, the more you go back in time, the more that is the case. A lot more freedom, a lot more authentic spirituality. Just like you see nowadays in Hinduism. Hinduism is the only religion in this world that is still authentically spiritual. Other than that, every religion is dogma, just dogma. So the more you go back in time, the more that is the case of authentic spirituality, of people really having their own approach to interacting with spirit. And there was no one size fits them all, because there really isn't such a thing. And everyone had the freedom to interact with one deity or another, or a multitude of deities. And therefore it was a lot more free. So this is basically witchcraft. And because of religion and because of Christianity, and not just Christianity, all dogmatic religions kind of put in the collective subconscious the idea that there has to be a set of rules for a spiritual approach, when in fact there is none. It's all up to you and your own creativity, your own connection to your spirit guides, your own approach, basically. So, you know, a lot of times I get questions from people like, when they hear about witchcraft and doing spells for themselves, they always say they don't know how to do it. You don't have to. Just get creative. That's all you need. Just get creative. It's literally a form of art. It's spiritual art. but this type of art brings you things. It's supposed to bring you things, whether physical or not physical. And that's the kind of witchcraft I support, the kind of witchcraft that you do for yourself, basically. And in other words, setting intentions for yourselves, manifesting, is the same thing. It's just different words for the same thing. Different words and different approaches for the same thing. Just working with spirit and working with your own willpower and harnessing that, because that's why you're incarnate. So here is where plants come into play, because witchcraft has a lot to do with that. You can use crystals as well and candles, and you can incorporate a lot of things into your spells. But plants work wonders. So plants, this is where I wanted to get at, because plants are not just physical medicine. We can use plants just physically, as literally physical medicine. But it's not just that. They have power even beyond that. But that power can be unlocked only through your own intention and your own practice. And it's beautiful. It's literally like a child's play, but it's mature and it's aware and it's with intention. And obviously it has to be beautiful, loving intention. Okay. Now, I'll give you one example. What I have here is thyme. Thyme is amazing, just like a lot of plants. I have a very beautiful connection with thyme for multiple reasons. But I want to talk a little bit about the physical properties of thyme as medicine. So thyme is very good for lungs, for your throat. It's spectacular for these areas. And it also has antibacterial properties, anti-inflammatory, antifungic, and so do a lot of other plants like turmeric and ginger. I absolutely love those qualities: anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungic. Those are amazing plants. Okay, so what we can do for our physical health, the first and easiest thing is obviously tea. We can make tea. We can use them as spices in our food. There are other ways of using them as medicine as well, but I'm not an expert at those other types of practices. That's for herbalists. Like more elaborate ways of using a plant, and those elaborate ways are well thought of. So whether we're talking about a mixture of plants for a tea, or I'm lost here because there are multiple names for different drinks, drinks. Concoction. I'm not sure. English is not my mother tongue. But the point is, herbalists make a lot of things with plants. And they're amazing. And they know how to use them. They have a lot of knowledge. So, yeah. Congratulations. That's one approach. A more elaborate approach. Now, In terms of witchcraft, basically, when we're talking about using a plant for witchcraft, for spells, for setting intentions and manifesting, the key is to understand the physical properties of the plant and then expand them into your work, into your spiritual practice. So like I said, thyme, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. So let's say you're doing a spell, you want no invaders, you want no pollution of the intention. You will use something of this sort, something anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, all of that. Also, thyme is, like I said, it works wonders for the lungs and the throat. Therefore, whenever you're setting intentions for things that have to do with the throat chakra and things that have to do with communication and your process of thinking and writing and just stuff like that, thyme is very, very good. Exactly because it's connected to this area. Whenever you want to set intentions in your Gemini area of life, this is where astrology comes in. Thyme is amazing. Thyme is actually a plant of Gemini. Not only Gemini, it's also a plant of Aries because it's a very strong plant. Like even the smell of it, even when you smell thyme, it's a very strong scent. So it's definitely Aries. And these properties, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, are Aries properties. But because it's connected to the throat and the lungs, it's also connected to Gemini. So whenever you want to work in the Aries and Gemini areas of your life, and that's where you have to consult your birth chart, whenever you want to work in those areas of your life and set intentions there and have spells for those areas of your life, you can use thyme. It's amazing. And also thyme is a great plant for placements for Mars in Aries. That is like the placement that thyme is best for. Mars in Aries, when Mars is in Aries, or let's say you have Mars in Aries in your birth chart and you want to work with that, use thyme. It's amazing, exactly because it's connected to both Aries and Gemini, and therefore when Mars is in Aries, this is the plant for you. You can make candles with thyme and set the intention when you light up the candle and let it burn so that you manifest the intention into physical existence. Stuff like that. I have a very close connection with thyme because I am a Gemini. I am a Sun Gemini and I have other Gemini placements. I also have Mars in Gemini in my birth chart. And here you go. I have a very powerful connection with thyme. I love it. There was a time in my life when I was drinking thyme tea every day. And I love it exactly because it's so strong. Other ways are also just making a tea, but when you make the tea, you make it with intention. So when you put the plants in the teapot, or when you pour the water, you place the intention there. And you can do it out loud, you can say the intention out loud, or you can just think of it, Or you can have a piece of paper that you write the intention on and then put it underneath the teapot. Something like that. Anything that fits you. Like I said, it's not dogma. Spirituality is not dogmatic. It shouldn't be. Anything and anyone that comes to you with a set of rules that you must follow, that's not spirituality. That's manipulation. That's indoctrination. That's brainwashing, and it's dogma. Run away from it. That's not freedom. So these are some examples of how we can use plants both for our physical health and non-physical health. And I love to use them for both of them at once. Because when you set the intentions, you can literally set the intentions for health. You can use thyme for a spell that literally has to do with your health. For your lungs, for your throat area, stuff like that. You can use ginger for a spell that has to do with your overall health. Because ginger is a very powerful plant. And it's, again, antibacterial, antifungic, anti-inflammatory. And it's a very fiery plant. Like, it's connected to both Aries and Leo. It's connected to Aries because, like I said, it's got these qualities that are very much Aries-like. And it's connected to Leo because, you know, when you look at ginger powder, it's yellow. And yellow is the color of Leo, and Leo is another fire sign that has to do with your well-being. And Aries in the natural horoscope rules the first house, and the first house is the body and also the overall health and the body's ability to heal itself. Both the first house and Aries and Mars have a lot to do with self-healing. This is something that not a lot of astrologers talk about. Self-healing. And ginger is a very boosting plant. It's boosting for your immune system. It's amazing. And it's connected not just to Aries in itself, but to the element of fire in itself. And that's why you can use ginger for a spell that has to do with your overall health and abundance. Because it's yellow, it's connected to abundance. And because of its properties, anti-inflammatory, anti-fungic, all of that, which is bad, it has the spiritual property, when you incorporate it in a spell, to dispel the negative. And this is amazing. Turmeric is very similar to ginger. Basically, they are cousins, like plant cousins. They're very similar. And turmeric, just as well, is a plant of Aries and a plant of fire in general. And when you use them, they literally boost you up. That's a quality of fire. It's a revitalizing quality. So let's say you want to have a spell that has to do with something that lost its spark, something that kind of died out, and you want to bring it back to life. There you go. You can use ginger or turmeric or both because they have this revitalizing quality to them, and they are connected to the element of fire, which is a giver of life, a giver of energy, a giver of impulse and action. And it's also very fast. Fire is one of the fastest elements. So this is basically how you do it. It's traditional and ancient medicine that is not just for the body. It's for the mind and the soul as well. And I hope this video has helped you. I hope this knowledge has helped you. I hope you're gonna work with plants one way or another, or multiple ways. If you want to write something down in the comments, go ahead. Thank you for listening, and you're amazing.